All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Mike Begg. I am the CEO of AMZ Advisers. And today we're going to be talking about how to find hidden profits in your Amazon account. We have a variety of different speakers and different topics today. I myself will be speaking about using the data and marketing options you have within Amazon to make yourself more profitable. Alana will be talking about HMRC, claiming charges as expenses. I'm sure she'll be able to give a much better explanation than I can on that. Alexandra will be joining us right now, actually, and be talking about reimbursements through the Amazon platform and how that can add to your profitability. Kitty will be talking about packaging design and branding on the Amazon platform, and Afolabi will be talking about logistics solutions for selling in the US. Following that, we'll have a Q&A session where you will be able to ask any questions that you have to the entire audience. So everybody, we are going to go ahead and get started right now. I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. Slideshow. So how do we become more profitable on Amazon, and how do we use the data we have within our seller account? We're going to go through a few different examples of what you can do. We're going to look at different metrics like click-through rate, conversion rate, your pricing, what your sales funnel looks like, and where you're leaking profit in your sales funnel. Going to be looking at smart promotions, subscribe and save, and retargeting. First of all, CTR, click-through rate, probably one of the most important things that you can have on Amazon. It directly impacts the number of customers that are reaching your page. It has a very big impact on how your advertising performs. And fixing your CTR can actually lead to a huge increase in profit for your account. All things considered equal, if your conversion rates are the same and you're improving your CTR, you're just getting more sales. If you're converting 10%, and I have a little example of this, if you're converting 10% of customers visiting your page, getting more people to your page should be the goal, and you should be trying to fix your CTR. The main ways to fix your CTR is essentially what people see when they are searching in search results or through ads. They're seeing your main images, they're seeing your product title. You need to make sure that your main images look great. You need to make sure that your product title is relevant to what the customer is actually searching for. And a couple of different ways to actually find that out is A/B testing within the Amazon platform. So if you are A/B testing your main images, A/B testing your product titles, it's probably going to be the best way that you are going to be able to improve your click-through rates. I'm not going to go too much into the main image. I think Kitty will be able to give us a little more information on branding and how to make your product stand out. So I don't want to cover that in too much. But again, CTR also has a drastic impact on your advertising performance. Your ACoS is directly impacted by your conversion rates, by the number of people visiting your pages. And the more clicks you can get, the better you're going to convert, the better sales you're going to get, and the better your ads are going to perform. I'm going to give a quick example of that. If we assume that we have a 10% CVR, a 10% conversion rate on a product with a 1% click-through rate, for every 1,000 impressions, you're going to get one sale. Now, if you improve that click-through rate to 3%, which is a pretty big improvement, that's 3 sales per 1,000 impressions. Now, when we're looking at impressions on the Amazon platform, 1,000 impressions can cost anywhere from $3 to $10 if you're using a CPM model on an ad. So you might be getting, on a 3% CTR, you are generating well more than the 1,000 impressions you are paying for and getting a much better return on your advertising. As I mentioned, this can also lead to drastic improvements in organic and advertising sales. Going to talk about conversion rates a little bit now. CVR is the other way to unlock a lot more profit in your Amazon account. It is the measure of how frequently a shopper purchases once they reach a product detail page. Improvements in CVR lead to immediate improvements in sales. Makes sense. The more people coming to your page, the more people purchasing, the more money you're going to be making, and the better return you're going to get on your organic sales. The best way to do this is going to be improving your product images, which we'll probably also cover a little bit with Kitty, your title and your bullets. All of that is important when people are coming to the CVR or coming to your page and deciding whether to purchase your product or not. A+ content also plays a good role here, as well as making sure your funnel is protected by not letting competitors advertise on your product pages. Again, you also can do A/B testing here to kind of figure out what images are the best, what bullet points are working the best. All of this is going to help you to test to figure out how you can improve your CVR in a way that's actually going to have a meaningful impact on your account. CVR is also going to have a direct impact on advertising performance. If you're converting more people reaching your pages, your A cost is going to decrease, your ROAS is going to improve, and in general, you're going to be much more happier. You're going to be much happier with the advertising results you're getting. Another example of CVR, if we have a 5% CVR on a product with 100 page views, every 100 page views equals 5 sales. If we improve that CVR to 10%, that's 10 sales. So that's a very basic example, just so you can understand how the same number of page views can lead to much more sales when you improve your CVR. Again, as I mentioned before, this improves your ROAS and decreases your A costs. Another big way that you could increase your profitability is by using pricing automation tools. So lots of revenue is lost due to mispricing on the Amazon platform. When you are able to utilize a tool that will adjust your pricing based on market demands and competition. So if your competition is going out of stock or is out of stock, it's a good opportunity for you to charge a little bit more. If the competition is a little bit hotter, you might want to charge a little bit less to continue to get those sales and stay top of search results. Pricing automation can help a lot there to drive more revenue for your brand and essentially lead to more profit per sale over time. The other interesting thing with pricing automation and the new pushes to AI is that AI can potentially improve pricing automation in the future. So we may see even more powerful pricing automation tools to help you lock in more profits over time. Another thing I like to talk about a lot is your sales funnel on Amazon and where you're leaking profit or leaking sales in your sales funnel. So brand analytics is a great way for you to visualize what your sales funnel looks like on a keyword by keyword basis or on a product by product basis. The main thing you want to focus on when you're looking at the metrics on the brand analytics report or the search term analytics report is improving your brand share. So your brand share is the percentage of total purchases, impressions, add to carts, whatever it may be for a specific keyword. When you improve your brand share, that means you are getting more people engaging with your product on whatever the metric is, and that's only going to lead to more sales in the long term. What you want to see is that your brand share is increasing as you move through the funnel. This means that you're getting really strong performance on these keywords, and there's really not an issue here that you need to look at fixing within the funnel. Decreasing brand share indicates that there's an opportunity for performance improvement. We're going to look a little bit more of an example of both of these so you can see what I'm referring to. And really, this is going to inform your strategy on where you should focus within the sales funnel. So we have two examples here from the search term query report. We have keywords that have a certain amount of volume. And as you can see in the line with the green arrow, we see that our search funnel impression brand share is improving. Our search funnel clicks brand share is improving. Our add to carts is improving. All of these are good indications that your product is very relevant and is performing very well on these keywords. Now, where you might want to focus is that if people are adding, or if clicking your product and adding it to cart, it's probably very relevant for that search term. You want to focus now on how do I improve the impressions? How can I get more impression share on this search term? Be it advertising, be it improving organic ranking. That's going to lead to a huge boost in actual sales. And as you can see, this is a very high search query keyword as well. Small improvements on impressions, small improvements on clicks or add to carts is going to lead to massive changes on the number of sales you're actually generating. Another way to look at this is a bad example. So as we see with this first line here with the red arrow, we have search funnel impressions are good. Search funnel clicks are great. They're improving. Search funnel add to carts is where we're dropping off. So that's a good indication that something about this is not converting. And we need to look at why in the funnel. Why is this not converting? And we're going to dive, and you want to dive in there. It could be your product images. It could be the keyword that you are showing up for is not detailed well enough in the product detail pages. You're really going to need to diagnose what's going on here. But using the search analytics report in brand analytics is going to give you really good insight into where you should focus your time and your effort. So again, these high search query keywords are good opportunities. As you can see, like, this is a good example of it decreasing. Here's another one of it decreasing. So how do we make our products more relevant for clicks? How do we make our products convert more by getting more add to carts? Another way that you can increase profit or drive more revenue for your brand on the Amazon platform is smart promotions. So promotions increase perceived value for the shoppers on the Amazon platform. It can help you attract new consumers that might be on the fence as well, or that aren't sure they want to give your brand a try. It's a good way to improve customer loyalty. It's a cheap way to keep a customer than acquiring a new one, is the saying. So When you have to go out and spend money to acquire a new customer, you don't know whether they're going to stay in the long term, versus if you already have a customer that's buying from you, using promotions to incentivize them to purchase again is a great way to do that. Unfortunately, the manage your custom experiments on Amazon just went away. So you're gonna have to find other ways to incentivize your existing customers to purchase. But there's ways to do that outside of the Amazon platform as well. The other great thing about promotions is that you could use them to increase your average order value. So if you are incentivizing a buy one, get one 10% off or 20% off, you are increasing your average order value because customers are going to be purchasing more than one product. That means you're going to be getting a better return on your advertising, a better return on your marketing. And by giving a small promotion, you might be able to incentivize customers to purchase either more than one unit or multiple products within your catalog. You need to be careful using promotions, though. You don't want to run promotions all throughout the year, and you also don't want to run massive discounts on promotions. Those are the two ways that you can cheapen your brand a lot and you can cost yourself a lot of money. So only use promotions when you're looking to boost your conversion rates, looking to improve your average order value, or looking to acquire a new customer. Subscribe and save is also a massive way that you can unlock profit for your account. With subscribe and save, you're able to get predictable sales, and there's no recurring customer acquisition costs. This is kind of what similar to the brand loyalty I was just talking about on the last slide. Subscribe and save also helps you plan your inventory better on the Amazon platform, which can potentially lower storage costs if you're not storing as much inventory on Amazon. I know Afolabi can probably talk more about logistics than I can, so I won't go too in-depth into that, but that is another good way that you may be able to save some money. It also increases customer lifetime value. And when you increase your customer lifetime value, you're able to acquire customers at a higher cost, making your brand more profitable over time, and making sure that you are making more money per customer over time. Finally, we're going to talk about retargeting quickly. Retargeting also increases the likelihood that a customer returns to make a purchase. This can improve your lifetime value. It can also increase your CVR if the customer's had a good experience. So it may give you a temporary boost in CVR, which can improve your ranking on the Amazon platform. As we know, that is a factor within the A9 algorithm. Retargeting can also improve your ROI because of that increased conversion rate. It can also be used to fix sales funnel leakages. So we talked about how we're seeing a lot of add to carts, but maybe we're not seeing purchases. Maybe we need to retarget the people that added to cart. Maybe we need to remind them that it's in their cart. Maybe they just forgot. So an ad is a good way to get them to actually purchase the product and get them to convert, and can help you fix some of the issues within your sales funnel. And then finally, it's a good way to cross-sell products. Here's another example of the opportunities you may be able to see. This is also from the brand analytics report. As you can see, we have in this one account, we have 39,000 promising customers, 20,000 at-risk customers, and 20,000 hibernating customers. Re-engaging your at-risk customers and your hibernating customers are a great way to start bringing previous customers back to your product, while targeting promising customers is another good way to get them to continue to purchase your product, increase the customer lifetime value. In the chart below, this is also from the same report. You can also see that the repeat customers are repeating purchases every 7 days, which is pretty phenomenal. So if you're able to get more of these promising customers to become repeat purchase customers, essentially buying 4 products a month, that's gonna be a massive boost for you from a profitability standpoint. So that is more or less everything I wanted to cover. If you're looking for any help on dealing with some of these issues, you can always scan this QR code and set up a call with us, and we're glad to talk through that. Kind of moving on to the next section, we are going to have Alana is going to be speaking now about claiming expenses. So Alana, why don't you take it over?
Okay, so I am just working out if I can share my screen with you. It's gonna let me share.
You should be able to. If not, let me know. There you go.
Is that coming through now? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I am going to. Can you see my screen there? Yeah. 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 Hi. So I'm going to be speaking today a little bit on how, if you're a UK business, so this does really affect UK businesses. I'm a UK accountancy firm, so we run a digital accountancy firm that focuses on e-commerce sellers. So I'm going to be speaking a little bit today about how HMRC don't really care what you expense. So one of the most asked questions we get asked a lot when we sign up new clients to us is, can you give us a list of what I'm allowed to claim and what I'm not allowed to claim through my business, because they're new business owners. And it can be quite a daunting experience, I think, when you open up a new business and you've got all these different things to learn. You've got different things with the PPC to learn, all the different conditions of Amazon and all these different things to learn. And people then say, okay, I don't know what I'm allowed to learn, claim through my business. Can you give me a list of it? So really, essentially, no, I can't give you a list of what you can claim and what you can't claim. Every business is different and every business works differently and operates differently. So HMRC basically work on the basis that they don't care what you claim, they claim the reason behind why you claimed it. So there's 5 whys that we always consider when we're looking at business expenses and if they're allowable. So the first one of them is the most basic rule of everything when you're claiming everything through your business is, does it pass wholly and inclusive test from HMRC? So was the expense wholly and exclusively incurred for the purposes of trade? So if the answer is yes, then it is allowed to be claimed as a business expense through HMRC. So I've put a little example on there on the screen for each of these. So if you were to say to HMRC, while I was on holiday in the US, I decided to visit a client's office, and then you proceeded to put through the full travel allowances for your hotel, your all your travel, your flights, everything through there. HMRC would say, no, that trip was not wholly and exclusively for business. You were already going on a family holiday. It was a personal expense, but maybe while you were there, if you did go and see a client while you were there, the business or the expenses to travel and see that client would be allowed. So on a regular basis as well, if you're traveling to see a client for business meetings at their address, so you have got your main business address and you're traveling to a client's business address, then this is an allowable expense. So it's wholly and inclusively, and it passes the test then. So the second why we sort of look at as well is, does it have a dual nature? So it's duality of purpose. So we always have to take into account the first why. Does it pass wholly and exclusive test for the nature of your business? But as the first one sort of alluded to as well, there has to make sure that there's no dual purpose. So sometimes something we see quite a lot of is company directors will say to us, we have bought an Armani suit for £500 and this full suit is, they're saying, we want to claim this as a business expense. So this actually fails because HMRC would view this as a dual of purpose, because you would wear this outside of work and it wouldn't just be used for work. So it would be seen that they would probably think you would be wearing the suit sometimes outside of work if you're going to spend £500 on a suit. So they would accept, though, if you're a factory worker and you're getting workwear to wear to work and it's got the company logo on it, because there's probably not much chance that if you're working in a factory with a company logo on it that you're going to choose to wear that out at the weekend or social events or things like that. So they will pass workwear with a company logo on it. So the third why, when we're looking at expenses and what we allow to claim, is benefits. And this can be quite a difficult area to navigate as well. So some employees will receive benefits, and some of these are not declared on salary. But anything that is classed as a perk or non-cash benefit you receive through your deployment should essentially be added to a form called a P11D, which is where we report P11D benefits in kind by employees at the year end. So an example of something that you can claim that doesn't need to go on a P11D, if you are a member of a professional body, you can give your subscription fees for the year to your employer and they will pay for that, and you don't have to be taxed on that or refunded for that, and they're not taxed as well at the year end. But if your employer was to then say to you, then we're going to give you a gym membership for the year and we're going to pay for that so it's available to you and all the other employees, you would have to pay a tax on that, and it does need to be recorded to HMRC, and it is added on to a P11D form, and you would get that at the year end once you did your P60 and your year end submissions through your employment. So the fourth why for if an expense is allowable and why it might not be allowed is if you've not had good record keeping. So HMRC, and especially with the introduction of making tax digital, with everything going more digitally, submitted to HMRC, there is more chances of inquiries and record checks being done a lot more by HMRC. So they will do record checks on you, and they might say to your accountant, if they've got agent authority, we want to see the backup to this VAT submission, or we want to see all the VAT receipts and expenses that you've attached to the claim to be able to claim it. So now, if this is for a VAT claim, you do need to have a VAT invoice attached to the expense to make sure that you're allowed to claim it for VAT. So an example of that, maybe if HMRC did an inquiries check on you and then they said, okay, we want to see your records. And then at the end of that, you said, well, here's my bank statements. I just reconciled everything to my bank account and submitted it to HMRC. This is my submission. They would say, well, no, there's no receipts attached. You haven't kept your records. So they would say, maybe if you were a VAT registered business, they would maybe say, well, no, you haven't got the receipts. You haven't got what you need to be able to reclaim these expenses from HMRC. So another way of doing this is if you were to say, yep, I use a digital software, I track all my receipts, and all my bank transactions have receipts attached to them, they would say this is a good form of bookkeeping and good record keeping. So for us, we issue all our clients a bookkeeping software. So we give all our clients a dedicated email. So you get a dedicated email and you could forward all your invoices to us and we store them for you. Now, HMRC say that you must keep your records stored for at least a minimum of 6 years, because if they open an inquiry, they may go back 6 years and look at your records. So you have to keep them records. They don't have to be in paper format. You can keep them on a digital format if you find that's easier. And for us, we say nobody wants to be storing 6 years of files in a paper format and carrying them around offices or storing them in different areas. Keep them digitally. It's definitely the best way to go forward now. So now we move on to the fifth why, which is something we look at as quite more regularly now as well, which is something that was introduced called trivial benefits. So employees can receive a tax-free amount of up to £50 as long as it is not cash or an equivalent of cash. It can't be an reward that is stated in the terms of your employment either. So there's not a limit on these awards of £50 that can be given to employees as well, but that's on employees. There is a limit on directors where they do get £300 limit per annum that they're allowed to see as a trivial benefit. So an example of something that would fail this is if on the completion of a contract, your employer then went into the petty cash and said, there's £100 cash and gave you £100 cash. This would fail because it's cash and it was for an reward for work. So it has to be seen as something that is not a reward for anything to do with work. So on the path side, here's an example. We've shown if it was your birthday and you received a £50 Amazon voucher, that would pass because it's for your birthday, it's not work related, and it's not in cash format, so that there's no need to complete a P11D form for that. So that is just a quick summary on the 5 principles that I think are very, very important when you're claiming expenses or when you're going to submit your accounts to HMRC on not to think about what you're allowed to claim and what you shouldn't be claiming. It's more the principles behind what you claim. And also have an accountancy firm in place probably is quite an important thing as well.
Yeah, that probably helps a lot. I can imagine that simplifies things. And yes, I mean, obviously running through things through a business is one of the nice benefits of being a business owner. So making sure you're doing it the right way is important. Awesome. Thank you for that, Alana. I just want to remind everyone that if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat. We'll get to them at the Q&A session at the end. Next up, we have Alexandra Ramirez talking about how to increase your profitability one reimbursement at a time. Hi, Alexandra.
Hey, everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen for everything. Oh, it actually says I'm not able to share my screen. It says I'm currently disabled, unfortunately.
That is a problem, huh? Let me see about that. Advanced sharing options. Share time. Here, try now.
Is that working now?
Yep, that's working now.
All right, perfect. Well, let me go ahead and move the camera down here. Hi, everyone. I'm Alexandra Ramirez at Carbon 6. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships, and wanted to talk today about something that is really a big pain point for everyone that is an Amazon seller. We know that there's so many discrepancies with Amazon, and how much money is actually owed to sellers today is actually much larger than a lot of people realize. 99% of Amazon sellers are actually owed money for so many different categories. Specifically on the right, you can see like how many categories there are as to why, but main ones that we usually see are the reason lost inventory in the warehouse and damaged inventory, as well as missing inbound. So those are like the top three. But again, there are so many different reasons why Amazon will owe you money. If you think about how large an Amazon warehouse is, or how much quantity is going into warehouses and fulfillment centers on a daily basis, it's understandable why things go missing or scans of incorrect amounts are happening. Now, that makes it very cumbersome for the seller to actually do every single one of these cases. So that's what seller investigators is here for, because in a regular retailer, shrink happens, right? Deductions happens, chargebacks happens all the time. And that's just the cost of doing business. But when you're actually doing business in Amazon, these things are just opportunities for you to get money back. You don't have to just take these shrinks. And that's what we're here to share with you about. All of these things, to be able to get money back, you have to actually review from tons of inventory ledgers and understand like where these shrink happen or where these erroneous fees might have happened. You have to file every single case individually with Amazon. You have to track them because usually they can come back and request either a PO or an invoice or anything like that to ensure that you have the right documentation to argue this, and then you can collect the reimbursements. And then you rinse and repeat with every single one of the cases that you have to do. So it's very, very time consuming. It's not complicated, it's quite time consuming. And you have to make sure that if you were to get this money back, just like we're filing taxes, a lot of us use CPAs or we use like, services because we all could do our taxes ourselves. But sometimes it's just easier to make sure that we don't, that we do everything the way that we need to and that we don't miss a single thing. So same thing with seller investigators is just to ensure that you don't miss any money that's left on the table. So you can either handle it yourself, submit all these cases and do all this trouble, or you can just use reimbursement services like ourselves. Now there's pros and cons to everything, right? So if you were to use option one, the pros are it's free, right? You can submit all the claims and see everything on your end. The con is you do have to make sure that you're doing it fully TOS compliant because it's very convoluted. As we all know, Amazon changes all the time. There's lack of transparency there. There's tons of paperwork that you have to do. And we actually have a team of over 300 people that are continuously looking on a weekly basis at your account. And not only that, we are fully Amazon TOS compliant. We're part of Amazon's Emerald program, which is an invite-only program. And we actually are also on the SPN, the Service Provider Network or software partner, where Amazon actually tells people use these services because they're fully vetted by us. So those are some of the pros of utilizing a reimbursement services versus doing it yourself. And some of the things that really make us stand out is how transparent we are. We have a dashboard that when you log in, when you're actually submitting reimbursements through us, they're fully hyperlinked to Seller Central. They allow you to actually see every single case that was recovered so that you understand how much you're paying. We have a whole dedicated team as mentioned, and you will have an account manager assigned to you. And they will actually find typically more than 20% than other of our competitors are doing. And we have a couple case studies to look at that. So how it works. The cool thing is the first step is completely free. It's just an audit. You connect your Seller Central. It takes about 5 minutes to submit an audit. And 24 to 48 hours later, you automatically get a result. We actually do a look back period of 18 months so that we can see if you are doing it yourself or if you're using another service, we can tell you how much money was actually left on the table during that look back period. So within the first month or two is usually when we find the bulk of money. And then going forward, we will always continue to do all the different cases that we've shown that we're doing. So after your free audit, we can review everything that is going on your account. We start submitting every single one of those cases, and you're going to get paid directly into your account. Now, we do not charge a monthly fee. There is not a subscription service for this. You only pay a percentage of whatever we find. So if in the first month we haven't found anything, or we haven't been able to recover anything yet, you won't be paying anything until we actually recover. Here's a quick finding that we have on a sports and outdoor company. Basically, this seller was selling close to $14 million. They started almost around a year ago. And we were able to find, just in the first 30 days, as mentioned, first month usually is the biggest bulk because of the look back period. We were able to find $157,000 in reimbursements that were left on a table. Now, these sellers were actually using a competitor service. So this is a lot of money that had already been left on the table. Now, to date, we've done $164,000 after the look back period. A lot of money that was actually left on the table was expired and was abandoned. There was over $70,000 that we found to be expired and abandoned. You can see that down on the left. About $35,000 expired, $39,000 abandoned. Now, those unfortunately we could not go after, which is why it's so important to always continue doing your audits at all times. Here's another quick case study. We've got a seller in the health and household. We've got about $12 million seller, about a year that they've been selling, and we recovered over $13,000 in the first 30 days and over $36,000 in reimbursements today. You can see that there is the bulk of these reimbursements were found in missing inbound and loss and damage. As mentioned, usually those are the ones that we see the highest number of reimbursements where we can go after for customers. Now, these are some of the categories that we actually go after, and this is really important because as of last week, we have just launched 3 new categories. So you'll see on the screen, it says new. So canceled shipments, lost in transit, and removal orders are some of our newest categories. So not only do we now do all the main 5 categories, inbound, loss, damage, customer returns, and discrepancies, but there's so many subcategories that we can actually go after. And these new ones really is what also makes us stand apart. Even one more thing that we do that stands apart from the competition is clawback coverage. So we all know Amazon sometimes comes back and claws back money that they have actually reimbursed you. We will actually return that money to you as well. That's one of the things that some of our competitors don't do that we do as well. So I wanted to let you all know today, you'll have a special offer. You can either email me directly. I can leave it in the comments. Don't let Amazon eat into your profits. You can start your free audit today. Scan this QR code and we'll drop my email in the chat if you have any questions. And looking forward to working with anyone.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Alexandra. And I can vouch that Seller Investigators does work. We are a partner of Seller Investigators, and we have plenty of examples where we've got over $200,000 or more back for clients. So it is a pretty great way to boost the bottom line. Also moving on, next we have Kitty Lai. Kitty is going to be talking about packaging design and branding. So Kitty, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. You see that? Okay, so I'm actually just going to talk about packaging design in the next 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, because it's so broad. I could go on all day. So we've got a short period of time to sort of talk about just focusing on packaging design, and I'm very excited. So, hold on, let me just see. Okay. All right, so I just want to go back to the basics about the purpose and function of packaging. So packaging is there to protect your product from damage, contamination, and spoilage. And it's really important that if you've got goods that you have food or drinks and vitamins and sort of perishables, that it's preserved in the particular packaging. Also, the convenience of having packaging. So when it's in the warehouse, the storage and transportation, it's quite easy for people to sort of handle the actual packaging. And also, information is key on actual packaging design. So you need to inform your customers and have all the essential details and instructions on a particular packaging. Also, it acts as promotion for your brand as well. So it attracts attention, it communicates the brand identity, and also differentiates you from your competitors, as well as identifying and distinguishing yourselves from other brands and varieties as well. And there's also the safety aspect as well of packaging as well. So it's not contaminated or sort of tampered with as well. So we make sure that things are safe when it's in a particular packaging. So why is packaging necessary? Well, product packaging says a lot about your brand, and in a fraction of a second, with customers sometimes judging the value or the quality of your product at a glance. So you have to be, so your packaging really needs to stand out for someone to actually pick it off the shelf. And if you get it right, packaging can actually help you sell more. Standing out on the shelf is the biggest asset you can actually have. And most people actually think that packaging is a minor detail, so it's often overlooked. And lots of brand owners are thinking, oh, I've got the product, now what? What do I do with the packaging? So, you know, you need to make sure that you actually have that design in process with a designer, and actually from the actual concept of creating your product. It's also an important component for your marketing and your service strategy as well. So it can tell a story, it can set the stage for how you want to represent your brand as well. So it's really important. That's why you need to have product packaging. So as a brand owner, there are 3 types of product packagings that you might require. So the first is the primary packaging. So that's the immediate container that's holding the product. So whether you've got liquids or food goods or anything that you need to sort of put in the packaging, that is the primary packaging that holds your product together. Then the secondary one is an outer package. So it could be a box to protect perhaps jewelry or something that's more valuable. But that's additional protection, and it could group your primary packages as well. So if you've got variations or a set of things as well, so you need to have that as a secondary packaging. And then the third type of packaging is the outermost packaging for shipping and handling. So you might be thinking of packing peanuts, papers, and wrapping paper and other things that go in cartons and that are getting shipped out to the customers directly. So 4 key things which will impact your design significantly are knowing who your audience is. So you really need to understand who your audience is and what they want from your product in the industry before you can actually start designing, because this will appeal specifically to them. So for example, if you have men, they're not going to naturally reach for something that's pink and flowery as well. So you really need to sort of make sure that you are designing with your target audience in mind. Also, the connotations you want to evoke as well. So what do you want people to think of when they see your brand? Think about your audience again. You know, if you've got a natural rustic packaging, it works great for organic skincare products. And when the brand is, you know, if the brand is like stressing natural ingredients and stuff, you wouldn't really want that in a clinical type packaging as well. So it's really thinking about what message you want your customers to see. Also, the visual branding as well. So if you already established brand and you have a website, you've got a brand name, you've got a logo, it's important to choose a packaging that will work well with what you already have as well. So it supports your brand instead of working against it. And also, you want to look at your competitors. So what else is happening in the market? You know, what are they doing? Is there something you can do better? You know, something that will help you stand out over your competition. And I generally, when I do research, I look at Pinterest, Instagram, and Google really. But Pinterest is my usual go-to places to get some inspiration in terms of design. So packaging design itself, right? This is quite a minefield. There's so many elements that pull packaging design together, and I can cover the whole page. There are more, but these are the main things I've put on the page. And it covers everything from the colors, the visual, the shape, the packaging, compliance, the information, the images, materials. And I'm going to break that into mini sections. I can't cover everything in this time, but you know, I will go through the things that you actually need to think about in terms of packaging. So here are the main elements I've put together, and not in any order of hierarchy because they just work hand in hand. I cannot split one over the other. But essentially, the brand identity, that will establish recognition and consistency by reflecting the brand's visual elements. So that's really important part of what you do for your packaging. So if you've just got a plain box or a bag, you're not doing enough to actually make a brand appeal to your audience. So then there's the functionality that will protect the product. while considering usability and sustainability as well. So you need to think about that. You know, is it functional? Is it practical? And then the color palette. Now, this is something I will cover briefly, but you know, this is the main thing that would differentiate yourself from other brands, and it will influence consumer perception as well. So it is really key part of the packaging. And as well, typography, you know, I cannot, out of all of these, I cannot sort of say one over the other is more important, but the typography enhances readability, and it also communicates to the customer what the product is. And you need to be quite clear in terms of what's in your packaging and what's in your product. Then there's graphics and imagery. So that's the main thing that will attract attention, and it will communicate product features visually as well. And when it comes to packaging, shape and structure is also the thing that will influence the shelf appeal as well, and the usability and thinking about the practicality, but that will enhance the consumer experience. Now, often you might not have a budget for a new shape, but you know, you can ask the suppliers to see whether they can produce something different from your customers. Maybe your competitors, they don't have a particular flap or an opening that's more easier. Maybe you can change slight construct with your supplier or get a designer to create a new packaging for you. Then there's the information hierarchy. Now, this is important, and I will show you a basic tutorial about this. This prioritizes and presents important details for quick understanding and informed decision making. So it's really important that what you put on your packaging is clear. And then finally, materials and sustainability. So sustainability, that minimizes the environmental impact through the material selection and eco-friendly practices, contributing to the brand reputation and customer loyalty. So there's a huge topic going on about sustainability. And, you know, this is a completely new webinar that I'll have to create for this, you know, but sustainability is a huge at the moment as well, but I will cover it just really briefly in this webinar. So the first thing actually is to look at the shape and structure, and that's the main thing I sort of do research on. So if I have a client that wants to package a particular product and in a particular weird shape, and I have sort of designed for quite unique products before. So shape and structure is important. So when you're deciding the shape of your packaging, you need to consider what product you're actually selling. So, you know, it might be quite plain and simple, so you don't need something too complex. But if not, you might want to think about the size and the shape. Don't overpackage. Don't put a small kind of product into a big box. You know, you really need to think about the shape and the size that you're designing to. And also, what will the customers expect when they open the package? You know, will they get surprised? What is experience they're going to get? Think about the unboxing experience. Also, is the shape practical, and will it be robust as well? So we're talking about functionality. You know, if you've got something that won't open and, you know, it just looks great, but it won't open, that's no good. So you really need to think about the practicality and from the customer's point of view. Also, does it stand out from the competition as well? So, you know, are you going to create a completely new shape? Can you do a tweak to your actual product packaging as well? And also, I always ask this, do you need packaging? You know, sometimes you don't, you know, and, you know, people just overpackage for the sake of overpackaging. And I don't believe in that, because, you know, I'm trying to do the world a bit of good. So, you know, do you really need some packaging? Okay. So generally, you'll end up with either a rigid packaging, which is generally a box, or flexible packaging, like bags for soft goods as well. So, you know, there's two types of packaging really. So is it a box? Is it a soft bag, or sort of envelope? So material. Now that's the next thing you need to think about, because that will affect the budget, that will affect definitely the cost and the construct as well. So you need to think of what you're actually going to package your materials in. So the most common types of packaging materials are plastics, glass, steel, aluminium, paper, paperboard, and wood. So those are the most common things, but there's a growing trend towards eco-friendly packaging, reflecting broader industry shift towards sustainability. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and lots of customers are asking and looking for actually actively looking for brands that are sustainable, that are eco-friendly. They will look at your packaging, they will look at your brand ethos? Do you contribute to the environment? Are you giving to charity? All those things. These are people that are buying your products, and they're actively looking for brands that practice sustainability. So it's worth thinking about the materials that you're going to use. So I've put together some eco-friendly packaging for you to look at, because, you know, you've got the general paper, you know, the common materials like steel, paper, and wood and glass. But these ones are something that you could look into. It's not necessarily expensive either, which most people think eco-friendly packaging or sustainable packaging is expensive. It's not really. You just need to shop around a bit, speak to the suppliers. And now people are getting more and more familiar with these types of packaging, that the prices will come down as well. So we've got things like compostable and degradable packaging. We see it a lot everywhere. Mailing bags especially, that, you know, they can be degradable, they can be compostable as well. So things like seaweed packaging, you put that in water and it dissolves. So there's lots of things out there at the moment. There's also things like green cell foam, cellulose packaging, and, you know, glassine packaging. These are all recyclable. And also pulp board as well, that is recycled. And, you know, there's things like wine bottles now made out of pulp board cases that encase a sort of that degradable bag as well, you know, with the wine inside. So there's different ways you can package products, as well as cornstarch packaging. You're going to see this everywhere, you know, in the next 2-3 years. Lots of brands are doing it. All the big brands are doing it currently, and looking into sort of sustainable waste with packaging. And I think as brand owners, you need to think about that as well, whether you can afford, you know, you've got the budget for that, and whether you can actually start doing that as a new owner, as a new brand owner as well. You might want to start thinking about new types of materials. So I thought I'd add these in because there's lots of mistakes, and it's really mindful to avoid these packaging pitfalls. So, you know, there's over packaging, so unnecessary plastic, you know, Coke cans in plastic, you know, or bananas in plastic. You do not need that. And one of the ones that says say no to plastic is actually in plastic bag. So, you know, really think about what you're sort of how you're talking to your customers, and what you're trying to how you're trying to appeal to them. There's excessive packaging. You know, a small allergy tablet is in a sort of blister pack inside another, you know, packaging inside a big blister pack. So, you know, are you over packaging things? You know, these are sort of really dumb people, I would say, who have designed these just to protect their products, but it's unnecessary. And, you know, styrofoam peanuts, I cannot stand those. They just stick to you and they go everywhere. But you can get ones that actually dissolve in water as well. So there are the biodegradable ones as well. Sometimes you need it, and so, you know, you cannot avoid it if you have to package a particular product. Then I would really avoid the difficult to open packaging. So if you see the one on the left, the yellow one, it says stop struggling with stubborn plastic packaging. Well, it's actually packaged in one of those packagings. You'll probably, you know, cut yourself opening, but you cannot get into that. So it kind of contradicts itself. And then again, oversized packaging. So the next thing to focus on is color. You know, this is a very important aspect of brand packaging. So what is the importance of color? Well, research has shown a signature color can cause 80% increase in a consumer's recognition of a brand. And that's huge because, you know, if you want to be the go-to brand, that people will remember your product and your brand. So you become memorable to them as well. And it also influences the mood. So there is a whole psychology of color and how it affects your emotions and behaviors as well. So how, you know, it will shape the consumer's perception as well in terms of when they buy your actual product. And of course, it stands out from the competitors as well. So having quite a unique color, sometimes you can be a bit brave as well. So don't, you know, if you're a particular brand and everyone's using the same type of color, you know, see if you can do things a little bit differently as well. You might be surprised that actually the customers are looking for something different. So you could test the market really, or you can sort of, you know, do a poll and ask your audience what they think. And also using the right colors will increase sales for you as well. So when it comes to packaging colors, make sure that you align it with your brand's identity as well. So, you know, you don't necessarily have to use the brand colors. You can use complementary colors as well. So, you know, your brand might have several different products in different areas. Say sports, for example, you might have sportswear, you might have sports accessories, you might have things, but you don't necessarily have to have the brand colors as well. But you can sort of have accent colors that help pop out and help still be part of that brand identity, but maintain consistency as well across various packaging elements as well. So, you know, the customer isn't completely lost in terms of what your brand is and what your brand is all about. So layout design, and this is where everyone goes with a blank canvas and think, where do we start? And I don't really expect most brand owners to actually design themselves. So I would probably, you should probably ask for some help and get a designer to help you design layout. So I'm just going to go through some crucial elements that you need to include in your packaging as well. So these are the product titles. So what is the name of the product? That has to appear on the packaging, to be honest. You need to say what it is, as well as the product description. So you need to tell the customers what is in the packaging, what it is, as well as the instructions. So that might be on the back of the packaging anyway, and how to actually use it. So it's important to also have visuals as well. So the logo is important. So where you place the logo is really key as well, and that it's visible, but not overpowering on the packaging itself. And you can use elements of your brand or imagery as well to sort of enhance the packaging design. Also, there's details such as labels and barcodes. They definitely need to be on there, and certain compliance like logos and things and batch numbers, they can be on the reverse. But they're really important things that you need to have on your packaging. So a quick tutorial, the information hierarchy is something that is really important. So I've kind of listed it in terms of how you should place it in a basic form. You know, things can change, but the logo should generally be at the top. It's usually a third of the width of the packaging. The product name then comes next. So that's generally the largest part of the design. So a big product name on the front with the essential information underneath. So if it's the materials or the flavor or the quantities, that would come next. The color also will distinguish. So some packaging might not have a die cut window to see the product through. So if it's like a bottle or it's a enclosed box, use color to help you stand out on the shelf. And again, additional brand info, sometimes at the bottom, like a coffee jar or something will have the volume or weight in a smaller font size. And then all the secondary information like ingredients, barcodes, instructions, recycled logos, all the other things can go on the side of the box or on the back of the packaging as well. So there are regulations in different countries as well where you need to place the information. So you need to be aware of that. But my top tip is to not use more than 2 fonts. It can change in style. It can be the same font in bold or italic and small, uppercase, lowercase. So, you know, I wouldn't use more than 2 fonts. Okay, so examples of design layouts. So these are just to give you an idea of what other people are doing, and they follow the same, pretty much the same hierarchy information that I have shown you. So bad design layout. Okay, so I'm really sorry if this is your product, but it's not great. But I picked this out. It is on Amazon UK, that's my source. But it's using too many fonts. There's no hierarchy whatsoever. The proportion scale are awful. So if you think, you know what, you know, comfort for the baby should actually be near the bottom, 100% cotton should be near the bottom, 12, it should be 12 muslin, baby squares. The color is not considered at all. And the readability as well, and the balance of everything, even the graphics, some are out of line and stuff. So if you know, it just looks like someone's designed it themselves. But if you follow the hierarchy, then you'll be in a better place at least. But, you know, really consider the design and get someone to design it for you. This, again, you know, this translate not just for product or packaging, it's on layouts and flyers and, you know, everything that you do marketing wise as well, using too many fonts, too many colors, proportion scales. You know, if you're going to confuse the customer, they need to focus on one thing. And on this particular design, I don't know what I need to look at. You know, my eyes are going everywhere. So it's really important to make sure that your customers focus in what they need to read on a particular design, on the packaging, on the bottle. Okay, confused? Right, okay. So I'm almost there. We're getting there, right. Okay, so what I would tell you as brand owners is to actually concentrate on your branding. Make an impact with your branding. So make sure that your brand is represented on all parts of your packaging, because the branding is at the heart of memorable packaging design. So, and the experience as well. So really infuse that into what you do in your design and across everything, marketing wise, social media, on your A+ content, everything that you're doing. And then I know a lot of you might have very simple packaging, and that can still work. To be honest, you can just do it on a budget. You know, you can put brand messaging on tapes, you can use stickers, tissues, and you know, it will still be memorable as well. I've currently bought currently bought home a rescue cat. I had a rescue cat like the last few months, and I'm buying a lot of cat food, and all these brown boxes are branded up with really lovely brand messages, and it's, you know, it's really lovely to read. But you know, a brown box can be simple but effective as well. So if you're thinking like, oh, I've only got a really simple design and simple product, you know, think about other ways of how you can brand it up and make an impact. So this is always an interesting topic in terms of how much packaging design costs. So I've just sort of laid it out just briefly, like if you're on the budget end, so you can go for Fiverr, 99 designs, or people per hour. So they are on the very budget end. But if you go for some sort of design studio or design house, they are much more, they'll create more conceptual things and be more specific in terms of what you want, and will deliver more of quality agency kind of standard. And then there's the boutique agencies as well. So they are going from $8,000 plus. You know, if you've got the budget for that, great, you know, but you know, it's what you can afford and what you would like, you know, your packaging, what you can get out of your packaging. But suppliers can also provide the service as well. So ask your manufacturer, do they do design services? They can include that in the production as well. So see what they've done before, ask them all the right questions, because if they can, they can do it for free as well. But if you do have a budget for it, I would generally say allocate 10% of your retail price for the packaging budget. And I would advise to get a designer if you can. I wouldn't design it by yourself. So I would really put that in, because at the end of the day, that's the first impression your product will make to the customer. So it's really important. So a quick summary: allocating a packaging budget, think about your target audience, consider the shape and structure, the materials as well, whether they can be recyclable, or, you know, are the materials certified as well, if your customers are looking for sustainable materials. Use typography and color to your advantage, layout design using the hierarchy information I've given you, the branding messaging, make that impact with your brand, put it all over your packaging, and really sort of put messaging and talk to your customers as well in a particular tone of voice. Keep things simple, and you can still make it look good as well. And I didn't add this in, but you know, end use as well. So design packaging to be reused with purpose or have something, another life afterwards. You know, you can still do that. And then I would suggest commission a packaging designer, and that is the end of my presentation. So packaging can be theatre, it can create a story. So bear that in mind and think about that, because Apple do it so well. You know, they create that brand experience and that whole theatre behind branding. So thank you very much. And you can scan the QR code and that will take you to my website. I have a blog about packaging and branding and much more as well. So if you want to hear more about packaging, then just give me a shout and I will be on the other end. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Kitty. I mean, it's obvious how passionate you are about branding and packaging design. So we really appreciate the in-depth presentation you just gave us.
I'm sorry if it took over time.
No worries, all good. And just to remind everybody, if you do have questions, feel free to submit them in the Q&A. We've got a few questions already that we will get to shortly after our next speaker, Afolabi, who's going to be talking about turnkey logistics solutions for selling in the US. So why don't you take over, Afolabi?
Awesome. So, Kitty, I'm going to send you a bill because of my time, and I'll send you like a payment request
Right.
for you to.
And we can do a skill swap, right?
Awesome. So I'm trying to let me share my screen. Awesome. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. Okay. All right. Great presentation, Kitty. Thanks for everyone. Now let me share my screen. Let me see if you see. I haven't used Zoom in a while. Sorry about it. Okay. Sorry, it's asking me to grant something. Yes. Okay, here we go. Oh no. Let me know if you see it. Zoom is asking me to do some stuff, but let me try
Unfortunately, we're
again.
not seeing anything yet.
Yeah, let me try again. I think it's like an update thing that is wanting me to do. Okay, let's try again now. Do you see it now?
There we go. Yeah, we got it.
Ah, you see it now. Awesome. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. All right. So hi everyone. It's good to be here. Thanks, Mike, for putting this together. I've learned a lot from everyone. Alana, Kitty, Alex. Hi, how are you? All right, so so that we can get into question and answer, I'm going to breeze through this real quick. I just titled it "One Little Known Logistics Secret That Could Be a Massive Profit Booster for Your Business This Year, and why on earth are sellers not doing it?" Okay. So what I do in general, I'm a co-founder with Norm Farrar for HONU Worldwide. We just help brands to save money as their products travel from just a simple idea till it gets to the end user. And I think that's supply chain. That's the definition of supply chain. When your product is moving from one point till it gets to your customer, it's really supply chain. And today we're talking logistics. So what is turnkey logistics? I'm just going to use this chart to describe what a turnkey logistics is. And then I own in on that little secret that I want to share with everybody. So logistics is, it might be a scary word for some people, but it's really simple. It's just the journey your product takes from your factory, wherever your factory is, China, India, until it gets to your customer. And if you have customer returns, then the customer returns it to you. So anywhere in the world now, you can have a store. You can be sitting in Scotland, as Alana is, and have a store, a virtual store in the US, and all this makes it really easy for anyone to live anywhere. If you're into hiking or backpacking around the world, you can enjoy whatever you're doing, and a turnkey logistics solution will really make your life easy. You can actually live the way you want these days. We're living in a very good time whereby you can pretty much do things automated. You can, have one single company take care of your production, ship it, clear customs, warehouse it for you, do your order fulfillment, and also do your customer returns. So that's what supply chain is. So that's what turnkey logistics is. You start from production, you go to freight and customs, you warehouse it, you do order fulfillment, and you do customer returns. Simple and straightforward. But there's one thing I really want to zero in on logistics that many people are not talking about and they're not looking at. And I have personal experience, and I'm going to share my story of how I bumped into it or how I discovered this thing, right? And the full disclosure, this little tip saved me, when I discovered it, saved me over $275,000 a year. It's very simple. I don't know why people are not doing it, but I'm going to explain exactly how I do it. And it should take you less than 10 minutes to do it. and you send me gifts after you do this by yourself. And when I sold my brand, I actually made $700,000 extra just because of this little thing. So bear with me. I'll share with you. I'll disclose everything, and I'll show you exactly how to do it, right? All right. With this trick, you increase your profit instantly. Instantly. If you do it, if you take 10 minutes, maximum, probably 20 minutes, you would increase your profit instantly. 2, you skyrocket your brand's value overnight. Your brand's value could almost quadruple if you do it right. And then I see many people researching products, and they shortlist products, and they say, oh, I'm going to launch this product. And after they launch it, they're like, uh-oh, what's going on? My profit is not the way I thought it was going to be. I'll show you how to research products. You're using whatever tool you're using to do your product research. I'm going to show you how to apply this little trick when you're doing it so that you don't get surprises at the end of the day. Also, you want to wonder why most of the Chinese suppliers or factories or sellers are undercutting you and they're pricing you out of competition. I mean, you're being priced out. This little trick is one of the things they use that you don't know, but they know it. They're super smart people. I have really good experience. I have a lot of friends in China. I have good experience with Chinese factories. I know there are people that have bad experiences. I think people are the same all over the world. You have the good people, you have the bad people. So it's not a matter of what country you are that determines whether you're good or bad. I think every country has good and bad. So I really don't like the label where people kind of label China as being a really bad country or bad people or something like that. I don't think it's fair, honestly. So anyway, these are some of the tricks they are using just to price you out. Also, you'll be able to find hidden gems, and you'll be able to diversify your sourcing if you want to source in other countries and stuff like that. This little thing will help you to do that, right? And then you can change your production schedule after you know this little thing that I'm going to show you. And then it will keep you out of trouble with the law. You might probably be breaking the law now for the past few years and you just don't know. But by the time you apply these, you would be compliant with US laws, and you can sleep better at night knowing that your business may not come to an end overnight. And most likely, finally, you might actually decide to fire your freight forwarder, because this issue should have been brought up to you, because you're not a freight forwarder, you're not a shipper. It's the responsibility of your freight forwarder to tell you this little secret that they're not telling you. So let's go into it. This is how it started for me. It was just an accident. This was my product before I sold this brand. In 2021, I had this brand from 2016 to 2021. And I just noticed that we were paying a lot in freight. So I decided to dig a little deeper to see how I can save money. Sometimes I'll get freight bills and it will be like 100,000. I'm like, why is everything this expensive? So I decided to dig a little deeper, and what I found really shocked me. So when I was looking at my customs documentation, so anytime you bring a product into the US or even into UK, Alina will tell you this, you are paying import duties. People don't know about that. I don't know why Amazon sellers don't realize that they're paying import duties every time you bring your product into the US. If your product costs you $2 a piece from China, by the time you bring it into the US, by the time you get to the border, the customs will assess your product and they will tell you what customs duty you must pay. In my case, I was paying 31% import duty. So that means $2 I pay to my Chinese supplier, and another 31% I pay to the US customs. That's why my freight cost was getting high. So I know people are hearing this and like, I didn't know that I pay that. Yeah, you pay, you just don't know. Or your freight forwarder got the money from you and he never paid it to the US government, and you are probably on the US government's most wanted list now and you just don't know. Anyway, this means I was paying $250,000 in import duties to the US government. Actually, it was $310,000 I was paying to the US government, not to my supplier. Every time I brought in my inventory from China, I was paying a total of $310,000 to the US government as part of my import duty. So I was like, something is wrong somehow. So I went to my customs documentation. You have it. It's called Form 7501. Everybody has it. So you look into your product, tell your forwarder to send you this form. Every time they bring your product into the US, they fill out this form to declare your products to the US government. It's like you're coming from, let's say Kitty is coming to the US and you're about to land. They give you like a form on the plane and they said you have to declare how much belongings that you're bringing into the US, right? Because the US wants to charge you duties. And then you say, I'm not going to declare I'm carrying a brand new Gucci bag. Why not? Because you don't want to pay duty on that thing. So anyway, so you have to describe the product you're bringing in. So it's your customs duty or your freight forwarder person that is filling out this form on your behalf all the times you've been importing your products into the US. So when I looked into my customs documentation form, what I found really shocked me. This is the description. It says I'm bringing in a photographic plate and film, not elsewhere specified or indicated, in the flat, sensitized, unexposed of any material other than paper, paperboard, or textile. I'm like, that's not my product. And I was paying 31% duty for this product description that my freight forwarder put onto my customs form. This is why the government was charging me 31% on my importation. If you look at what I sell, it does not look like a photographic film. It's not a photographic plate or film. Why should I be paying 31% on that product? So after much digging through about 13,000 lines of customs code, I finally found the correct one my freight forwarder should have been using in the first place. I had hit a jackpot. Guess what happened? Boom. My import duty went from 31% down to 3.5 instantly. Instantly. Just because of this one single code that I found in the customs database that applies to my product, I was able to save $275,000 in savings on my cost of goods every year. This is real money. This is not virtual money. This is the money I would have paid to the US government, but I'm no longer paying because of this. Now, let me show you what the form looks like. So everybody has this form. Every time you're bringing your product into the US, I know the UK has its own type too. Everybody, your customs person or your freight forwarder completes this form every time. Ask them for this form and you'll be shocked how much money you're probably pouring down the drains to the US government. This is my own form. This is actually a screenshot of my form after I found the good codes. Look at this. See, it says my product's tariff HCS code. This is the code I'm supposed to be using when bringing my products into the US. And look at my duty rate is 3.5%. Look at amount I'm paying in duty, $1,248. Before, I used to pay way more than that, right? So look at these real life situations. A guy, the first one is a guy, he heard about this trick that I'm sharing with you. So he sent his product to me. He said, hey, Afolabi, could you help me out? I'm paying like 27% or something. I think he was also paying 31% on his duty. He's like, something is wrong. I heard about your presentation. Could you help me out? So I'm like, okay, give me your HTS code, which is the customs code. So he gave me his customs code. Look at what I found. On his customs code, the custom code says is importing national flag. So he's paying 31% extra for importing personal flag. But look at his product. His product is not personal flag. His product is a baby stroller. But because of the customs, the person that is doing his paperwork, his freight forwarder, doesn't care. He just uses any random custom code to to import his product. He was paying $145,000 more per year just because of this silly mistake by his freight forwarder. Look at the other one. This is a friend of mine too. So when he sent me his product, I said, are you bringing a ceramic cup or you're bringing a porcelain cup? He said, my product is porcelain. I said, okay, if your product is porcelain, your customs declaration form says you're bringing in a ceramic product, which made you pay 32.5% in duties. It's like, it's not ceramics, porcelain. I said, if it's porcelain, your duty rate just dropped to 9.8%. It's the freight forwarder or the customs broker that is making all these errors on your behalf, and you don't know, and you've been paying this duty for probably 5, 6, 7 years, losing all this money without you noticing. The next one is like a kettle. It's some really cool electronic device. He was paying 18%. By the time I checked the customs database, he was supposed to be paying 2% on that product. Huge difference. He was saving $32,170 after his product was reclassified under the right customs code. So my question is, if two sellers sell the same exact product, is it possible for one to pay 6% and the other one to pay 31%? Oh, yes, it is. And that's why that's why your competitor could sell at a lower price than you on Amazon. You're messing with PPC, you're trying to cut costs, and you're saying, no, my A cost is too high. Let me do something. How are these people doing it? It's because they know what you don't know. They have dialed in on their tariff and they're able to save based on that. And I started talking to a lot of Amazon sellers, and I found out 8 out of 10 Amazon sellers don't even know they pay import duties or how much they pay. They just get a bill from the freight forwarder and they pay it, and that's it. And they don't do anything else. They just complain, oh my God, this is so bad. So it takes 5 to 10 minutes to do it. And the step one is ask your forwarder for your CBP form 7501. Once they give it to you, look at sections 28, 33. I'll give you this, we'll give you this, presentation so that you can, you can follow these steps. This is the same steps I took. So look at, sections 28, 33, and 34 of your CBP form. It's so easy to look at. You'll see exactly what HTS code they're using for you and how much duty you're paying. Now I developed an app for you to be able to see what you're paying in duty. Just copy that HTS code and put it into my app here, app.tariffterminator.com. Just register, sign up, it's free. Put it in there, and that app will spit out to you exactly how much you're paying in duty, and it will also tell you your product description. If your product description does not match what your product really is, that means you have been overpaying or you have been paying the wrong duty for all these years. I know it could make you want to cry, but it's a reality. When I discovered my own, it was a bittersweet experience knowing how much money one has been losing. So this is what it looks like. Again, I'm just showing you, this is what your form 7501 looks like. Just look at section 28, description of merchandise. Look at your HCS code here, which is your duty rate code. Look at what duty you're paying. Look at your product description on top of that HCS code. It's going to tell you, you see mine, it says writing boards, slates and boards with writing surfaces. It should tell you exactly what it is. But if you go into my app, just put it in there. It's free. put it in there. It will show you exactly how much you're paying and what your product description for that customs code is. All right, so we're going to wrap up now. In case you don't want to do it, just go to our Tariff Terminator website. We will do a free audit for you. We will take a look at your product for you. If we don't find any error or any, or if we don't find any savings or any error, if we find out that you're paying the right customs duty, we don't charge anything. It's all free. Just like Alex's sellers investigator, they do your reimbursement. If they don't find any reimbursements, you don't pay them anything. But if they find, they deserve the right to be paid for their work. So in the same way, it's a free audit. We will look at your product for you for free. And if we don't find anything, you're good to go. You can sleep better at night knowing that you're using the right import duty code and you're paying the right amount. So again, it's time, Mike, you can take it over for questions and answers, because I know people will have questions for all of us.
We do, and we don't have a ton of time left, so I am going to get into that. There are a few questions submitted regarding kind of ACOS, ROAS, advertising stuff. I'm just going to address those quickly. When I talked about in my presentation about ACOS and ROAS, the main things I focused on were conversion rates and click-through rates. Those are the two things that are going to have the most direct impact on your advertising performance. So if you want to improve your ACOS, improve your ROAS, get more people to buy the product, that's pretty obvious. But the way to get more people to buy the product is to click the ad. You click the ad from having really good product main image, from having a really relevant product title. If you're using other ad types, having a really good creative on the other ad types is going to help drive more clicks. And then from there, it's a matter of improving conversion rates. So how do you improve conversion rates? You can improve with promotions. You can improve with other incentives to try to get people to purchase, or you can improve by split testing, figure out what's working best. So those are the two metrics I would focus on to improve your ACOS and ROAS, because if you get either of those to improve, you're going to start seeing immediate improvements on your sales. Looks like we had another question that Alana already answered. Can I still claim VAT on both allowable and disallowable? Maybe you just want to give us a quick response on that, Alana.
So yeah, this can be a little bit of a complex area as well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So this can be a little bit of a complex area as well. So it depends on what it is. So there are certain items, like if you have a car and you lease it through your business, HMRC will immediately say that you can only claim 50% of that VAT, because they will always assume that there's going to be a personal element in a car, that you're never always going to be using it for business. Even if you say it's a business car, they're always going to assume there's a personal element. So they will disallow 50% always. And there are certain other things as well. If there's a personal element, you can say, well, okay, 60% of this is business and 40% of it's personal, and you can split the element. There are other rules as well for things like if you are getting repairs done for some capital items on your business or repairs, HMRC maybe will not allow the repair because they'll see the dual nature of it, but then they will allow the VAT on it. So it can be a little bit of a complex sort of, it's not a one rule fits all. So I would really advise that if you have an accountant in place or someone that knows the rules on VAT, to go to them, and if you've got any queries, go to them, because it's not something you want to get wrong, or you want to get any fines or interest added for at a later date because you've made an assumption.
Awesome. I appreciate that explanation, Alana. Next question is for Alexandra. Does it cost anything? I guess this is in reference to the reimbursements.
Yeah, so it does not cost anything, as I mentioned, on a monthly basis. We only charge based on however much money we are able to recover. So that's a great thing. You do the free audit and you don't have to pay anything until you're actually ready to go. And it's, we have a full support team behind it and a dedicated case manager.
Awesome. Thank you for that explanation. We have another question, but I'm not sure who it's directed at, so I'll message you, Michael, to get a little bit more info. This is for Kitty. I already have a product, but I want to grow the brand. So can I expand? Can I expand on the product range? What should I do? So I can expand on the product range. Excuse me. You're on mute.
Sorry, so you can't expand on the product range. So can you explain that again?
Yeah, it's just the question. I already have a product, but I want to grow the brand so I can expand on the product range. What should I do?
So you can. Oh, okay. What should you do? I guess it's depending on whether it's part of the same range or whether it's just an extension, completely different product as well. So I mean, you need to start looking about having more guidelines in terms of your brand and the tone of voice and the personality, whether you actually have a brand at the moment or is it just the logo. So it's really creating something that can expand into other areas as well. So you need to look at the whole branding, the packaging side of things, and how you can sort of grow that over time as well. So it's just a whole sort of recollecting and seeing what you actually have at the moment and then go from there, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Yep, that makes sense to me. Thank you for the explanation, Kitty. Next one. How easy is it to ship cargo from Europe to the US? I guess this is for you, Afolabi.
Yes, it's actually really, really easy. There are lots of freight forwarders and shippers that specialize on that route. So many shippers would do Europe to the US. What you just have to be aware of is who is going to be your importer of record when it gets into the US. Are you going to use your 3PL, or are you going to set up a company here in the US to be your importer of record? These, you need to be sure of the tax implication of setting up a business in the US, and Alina would be able to advise you on that, because you could remain an EU company and still be selling in the US. We would just, for some clients of ours, because we have our own 3PL facility and we do end-to-end supply chain, we act as their importer of record. So we can suggest some freight forwarders for you from the Europe. They will pick up your goods and they'll bring it to the US, and we will do all the customs clearing, because we need to give them the right HTS code to bring your product. Your product may be duty free. That's another good part, because there is a tie between the EU and the US. There's a trade pact between EU and the US on some products. So maybe your products even qualify for free tariff and free duty when it's coming into the US. So these are all the things that you need to consider, but it's very easy to find freight forwarders that specialize on that route, EU to the US, and you could, private message me later or email me or something, and I'll be able to suggest some, because at our 3PL, we do have a lot of products coming from Turkey, from, Netherlands, Germany, all over. And it was very smooth to actually bring those products into the US.
Awesome. Thank you for that explanation. We are pretty much out of time though. So unfortunately, if there were other questions, we're not going to be able to get to them. I just want to thank everyone for attending today. I want to thank the panelists as well for their valuable contributions. And just so everyone knows, we will be emailing out the recording of this presentation, so you'll be able to reference it later for yourself. So again, thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time today, and we hope you have a great year selling on Amazon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.